Welcome to the Gospel Road. We're going to look at Psalm 127 today. And it says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it they labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate." Psalm 127. And again, many different ways of how you can read and understand these. And again, I just kind of share things kind of out of my mind when I kind of go through these. But again, these are things that you need to read. And it's that personal relationship that I always talk to, that one-on-one relationship between you and God. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's you having that one-on-one piece with Him as you go through your life and do things. I mean, the only thing that I always do say is that I believe that we all have that calling of having a purpose in people's lives, to be there to encourage them, so that way they can be the best that they can be, to build them up, to really be there to inspire them, to help them, to pick them up when they fall. And that can be seen when you read through many of the scriptures through the Bible that, Solomon wrote, or David wrote, or, Abraham or Moses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I mean, all the different pieces that you go through when you read, there is an underlying message. And again, when you talk to many people, they all have their definitions of what they see and how this means and what goes there. And that's why we have a brain. That's why we have a mind. That's why we can think. That's why we have that free will. And that's why we can have discussions. And again, not everyone's going to agree 100% of the time. But we can have that same basis as we have those conversations. So unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. It's like a plan. God has a plan. This is what God is putting forth for me to do, for you to do. And if you're not following that plan, something can fail. It's no different than when you're putting a project together. When you're at work, you have to have that groundwork. You have to have that plan. If you do not have that plan, then it's going to fail. It's the same thing. You're building a house. You're building a building. You talk to any architect. Things are not done in the way that they need to be. It's going to fail. It's going to fall. Just having someone there, having that team, so you're able to do things better, because we always can do things better together. I was having a conversation with a friend last night, and of course they were really pushing me about all these good things about me, which, usually don't believe any of them. And I've said it many times. I'm not the best when it comes to me. I'm not the best when it comes to my self-image, my self-esteem. Just many things happened, as in life as a kid. And again, as I always say, they don't define you, but sometimes they make you think certain ways. In some ways, they probably have defined me, and I'm still trying to work through them. It's not easy. It's baby steps, right? I'm trying to do it a step at a time, but, it's hard. No one ever said life was easy, and it's not. But you just keep pushing forward to do the best that you can, to help others do the best that they can. The Lord watches over the city. The watchman stays awake in vain. Again, having those people to be there to help there, God being there to help you get through, to do what needs to be done. Again, we're talking relationships here. So we're looking at that relationship between us and God, between me and God. That same relationship applies to what we need to have in work, in business. Having people there to make sure things are being done the way they need to be done. Having that manager or supervisor, also being there. You have a reason. There's a reason to be protected. There's a reason to be on the lookout when things are going on. But then at the same time, all the way at the end, he shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies at the gate. Again, the Bible says later on that, we need to love our enemies. We need to, give to our enemies. We need to help our enemies when they need help. When they're failing, we need to help pick them up, and we need to hold them up. It's a weird way of thinking, but it's what it is. Again, it's having that competition when you're in business. There's no reason to be shamed or afraid of talking to your competition. Sometimes that can be good. You can, really share certain ideas. Now, I'm not saying you go to your competition and you tell them everything that you're doing and you give them all your, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying having conversations. We have philosophies that we can share with one another. Now, there's people that, in work both in radio and, even when I do my DJ business, that, I talk to people in the business, even within the same market, which they would be my enemies because that's the competition. But you find out that still not everybody has that same way of thinking. Not everybody has the exact same philosophy. Now, you have that bottom line where this is the foundation, this is how it works, this is what we need to do. But then when it grows from there, not everyone has that same idea of how to execute all the different things that need to be done. But it's okay, because that's what makes us different. That's what makes stations different for people to listen to. Makes businesses business, makes products different for people to want to buy, that want to purchase, in whatever way they're looking for to do that. And again, it's that same thing of having the friends, the different ones that you can talk to, the different ones that you're there for. Again, we're individuals. And each relationship is an individual relationship. It's not one relationship that encompasses all, because we all are unique in our own little way. But so many times we're trying to treat everybody the exact same. We've all had those managers. We've all had those supervisors. They're trying to treat everybody the same. And that's not the way it's to be done. In fact, you find a lot of poor management skills that way, and a lot of people that are unhappy because you're not kind of focusing on them. I've said a few episodes ago that I was reading, some books right now, and of course, one of them is the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's interesting that the things that I'm reading in there of how comparing that to how people are in life and how they are doing things. And then even comparing that they did things like that, but they did not, on how you can get people to get that influence, get people to follow you, get people to trust you, get people to have faith in you because you have the idea of knowing what you're doing. Again, having that peace, working together, having that relationship so you're able to do things in a united front as you're moving forward to get things taken care of, and having us to be there to help a person when they're going through a rough time, building them up. God builds me up. I need to take what He is giving me to build me up. In fact, He builds me up when I do these podcasts. He builds me up when I do my readings every day. He builds me up in many different ways. He brings people in my life to build me up. And then I have to try and process that and use that and hold on to it. But again, research says, you can, everything positive said to you for a month, you just need one negative thing said to you, and it wipes that all out. I was reading something a few years ago. I can't remember exactly what the percentage is, but when you're dealing with people, you need to praise them 70% of the time so they can take that critique 30% of the time. And if you're critiquing, you have to figure out the way to critique them to where it's a way to lift them up. Not that you did it wrong, but maybe there's a different way to kind of do things to make it work a little easier. Again, think before we speak. I saw something on Facebook the other day about memes and, thinking before you post. What's that meme say? Think about it before you just put it out there. So many things to think about. I know, again, it's not easy at all, but it is being there for one another to help each other to grow personally, professionally, to be the best that we can be, to be the best that I can be. Psalms 127, again, read it for yourself. What does it say to you? How does it apply into your life where you are right now? Thank you for listening to Gospel Road. Have a great day.